About the never-ending battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Justin approached Colleen and proposed making this movie to bring this sensitive issue into the limelight. The lawsuit against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, amounting to a massive $400 million, has shed light on several accusations. The suit includes multiple text messages indicating that Blake and Ryan have allegedly lied and tried to control the entire film in an unethical manner. Hello again. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're going to talk about the never-ending battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. As new revelations come to light each day, it's becoming increasingly clear that this matter isn't going to be resolved anytime soon. Based on what has been uncovered through sources and public documentation, it's evident how a big celebrity like Blake Lively not only altered the narrative of a well-documented and sensitive story, but she also ended up portraying herself as a liar in the eyes of many. So let's take a deep dive into this incredibly complex situation. Let's start from the very beginning. Chapter 1. How the novel plot thickened. On August 9, 2016, an American author named Colleen Hoover wrote a book titled It Ends With Us, which, according to her, is a romantic novel that addresses a very sensitive issue, like domestic abuse. The movie It Ends With Us is based on this novel of the same name. Justin Baldoni was the one who initially acquired the rights to the book and conceptualized the idea of adapting it into a film. In 2019, Justin approached Colleen and proposed making this movie to bring this sensitive issue into the limelight. Over time, more people got involved, including Blake Lively, who was cast as the lead female character Lily, and she also became one of the film's producers. Now that everything has come to light, many people have been curious to know why Justin specifically chose Blake Lively. Well, according to Colleen Hoover, Blake Lively was her dream choice for Lily, even though the novel's character Lily was 23 years old. Whereas Blake, well, let's just say she's not 23 anymore. Chapter 2. The Spark of the Rumor. The movie's shooting had been going pretty well, but even so, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni had seemed to be at odds over the creative and promotional aspects of It Ends With Us. Blake, known for her extremely positive social media presence and PR-driven image, had been facing criticism as behind-the-scenes details emerged. As a producer, Blake naturally had input in the film. However, reports suggested that she began overstepping boundaries during the shooting process. She had reportedly tried to control multiple aspects of the production, including rewriting scenes and altering the styling of her character Lily. In the novel, Lily had been depicted as a soft and relatable character, but Blake had decided to style her character independently, choosing outfits that had clashed with the essence of Lily as written in the book. Justin Baldoni, who directed and acted in the film, reportedly had a very different vision for the project. He believed in staying true to the book's themes and presenting it as a story addressing serious issues like domestic abuse. However, Blake's creative and promotional approach seemed to clash with this. For instance, during promotional interviews and social media campaigns, Blake leaned into a lighthearted, rom-com-like tone, asking fans to wear floral outfits and watch the movie in groups, similar to the promotional strategy for Barbie. This created confusion among audiences, as the film is about a deeply emotional and serious subject matter. Justin, on the other hand, focused on the core issue of domestic abuse, which he highlighted in his promotional efforts. Blake and Ryan reportedly tried to market the film in a way that resembled Barbie's successful promotional strategy, and they emphasized aesthetics over the film's message. Blake's approach made the movie appear more like a fun, romantic comedy, which led to disappointment and backlash once the trailer clarified the actual theme of the movie. This mismatch in promotional strategy raised eyebrows, as it seemed to undermine the gravity of the film's subject matter. Moreover, reports suggest that Justin was excluded from key marketing decisions, furthering tensions between the two. By doing this, if Blake and her husband had addressed the issue properly, people might have understood better. But they didn't do that. Only Justin consistently spoke about the issue. Because of this, people started calling out Blake Lively. During this time, she also began promoting her hair care line. An article was published where it was stated that sources revealed Blake Lively was upset with Justin because he wouldn't consider or accept the ideas she was offering during production. There was also an incident involving a scene where Justin had to lift Blake during filming. At the time, Justin was dealing with back pain, so he asked the on-set trainer about Blake's weight to ensure he could lift her without worsening his injury. It was said that Blake was upset when she found this out. Additionally, an old interview of Blake resurfaced, where the interviewer congratulated her on her pregnancy. While the news of her baby bump had already come out, Blake, for some reason, responded rudely. Interestingly, the interviewer wasn't pregnant, but Blake made things awkward for her. Viewers noticed this and pointed it out in the comments, saying that Blake was coming across as a bully in this situation. Ryan Reynolds was also seen to be quite involved in this film. Ryan married Scarlett Johansson in 2008. However, during the filming of Green Lantern in 2010, Ryan met Blake Lively on set. The following year, in 2011, Ryan divorced Scarlett and by 2012 married Blake. It was evident that Ryan and Blake were already having an affair while Ryan was still married. However, the narrative pushed publicly was that they met and began dating only after both were single, which was not entirely true. Amid all these online speculations, Justin Baldoni had hired a crisis manager named Melissa Nathan, the same expert who helped Johnny Depp during his legal battles. Initially, the criticism was focused only on Blake's choice of marketing strategy for the film, but things escalated further. People started commenting about Blake's odd behavior. As one comment said, "The way you are bullying Justin in front of the entire world with no shame is disgusting." Another said, "This is the most tone-deaf thing I've ever seen. This movie is about abuse. Why are you promoting it like it's a Barbie movie?" These comments underscored an increasingly glaring divide between the film's serious themes and the lighthearted way it was being marketed. Following this, Blake Lively seemed to take a series of steps aimed at entirely sidelining Justin from the movie. For instance, during the premiere of It Ends With Us at AMC Lincoln Square in New York City on August 6, 2024, Justin and his family were reportedly sent to the basement and stayed there the entire time. This was allegedly because Blake didn't want Justin to appear at the event while she was present. Meanwhile, Blake was seen promoting Deadpool and Wolverine with her husband and Hugh Jackman, instead of focusing solely on It Ends With Us. Interestingly, she wore an original Britney Spears dress, which some fans speculated was done intentionally to make Justin jealous. This theory stemmed from an old interview where Justin mentioned that he and Britney didn't share a particularly friendly relationship. While this remains speculation, Blake continued to dodge serious questions related to Justin or the movie's issues during public appearances. Despite this, It Ends With Us turned out to be a massive success, leaving fans curious about the underlying tension between the two stars. Publicly, Blake gave the impression that she strongly disliked Justin and never missed an opportunity to undermine him. On the other hand, even after everything, Justin never publicly blamed Blake for anything. Instead, he consistently praised her, maintaining a positive outlook throughout. Chapter 3: The Complaint and the Lawsuit. People initially viewed this situation through the lens of Blake Lively's past reputation, and they assumed that her experiences with Justin Baldoni might reflect the mean girl image she had been associated with in the past. Many dismissed her claims and believed that they were simply a continuation of her rumored difficult behavior. However, the real shock came on December 20, 2024, when Blake Lively formally filed a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department. In her filing, she accused Justin Baldoni, along with others including Jamie Heath, of fostering a hostile work environment on set. Blake alleged sexual harassment, boundary violations, and being coerced into filming a controversial naked birth scene that she was uncomfortable with. She further claimed that after voicing her concerns, she became a target of retaliation. According to her, this included a deliberate smear campaign designed to damage her reputation and discredit her in the public eye. She made it clear that going forward, she did not want to deal with such situations again. Justin, who was both an actor and director in the film, and Heath, who was the producer, were involved in addressing this issue. A discussion took place over a 30-point list outlining what should and shouldn't happen on set. The first point in the code document addressed this matter. Blake Lively would not be shown any photos or videos involving women who were not clothed. This stemmed from an incident where Heath had shown Blake some footage. In the film, Blake's character was pregnant and about to give birth. The producer wanted her to perform the scene completely unclothed to make it more realistic. Blake's discomfort reached a breaking point when Heath, in an attempt to prove a point, decided to share an intensely private moment of his own wife's delivery, where she was unclothed. This left Blake deeply unsettled. It was also stated in the document that there would be no discussions about Justin and Heath's past addiction to porn. Inappropriate jokes directed at Blake or any other employee would not be tolerated. Physical touching or making sensual comments were strictly prohibited. Additionally, kissing scenes would not be improvised without Blake's consent. According to her, this had already happened in one scene where Justin Baldoni improvised a kissing scene without prior discussion. When intimate scenes were shot, proper protocols were to be followed. Justin was instructed not to bring up intimate moments with his wife or any details about Blake and her husband's personal life in conversations. Another point stated that Heath or Justin would not enter Blake's trailer when she was changing or requiring personal space. One instance specifically mentioned in the document was when Blake was topless in her trailer while her makeup artist was removing body makeup. Despite this, Heath entered and told Blake he needed to discuss something with her. In response, Blake told Heath to wait until she was dressed, after which they could talk. However, Heath insisted on speaking at that moment. As a compromise, she called him into the trailer, but she told him to face the opposite direction because Blake wasn't dressed. During their conversation, Blake noticed that Heath turned around to stare at her. When she called him out and asked why he turned, Heath said it was a habit of his to make direct eye contact during conversations. This incident deeply disturbed Blake and her team. One of the important things to notice is that Justin Baldoni had previously revealed in an interview that he was emotionally and sensually abused by a former girlfriend. He shared that he had struggled with trauma for years, unable to accept that a woman could take advantage of a man. Justin shared this personal story with Blake while they were in a car together, with their driver present. However, Blake found the conversation strange. Another incident mentioned was when Justin Baldoni broke down in front of Blake. This happened after behind-the-scenes photos from the film began circulating on social media. Some commenters had written that Blake was too old for the role. Justin was upset by these comments and approached Blake to discuss it. The document also specified that Justin should not ask Blake's trainer about her weight. Blake's team pointed out that there was no such scene in the script, so this left them questioning why he asked about her weight in the first place. A series of such incidents ultimately led Blake to file a complaint with HR. She also approached Sony to raise the issue. However, Sony, being the only distributor of the film, did not have authority to take action. The matter could only be resolved by the studio producing the film. The production company for this film is Wayfarer Studios, founded by Justin Baldoni and Steve. The CEO is Jamie Heath, while the president is Tara Hanks. In the end, it is said that Blake Lively had to address her concerns directly with them. Reports also suggest there might be a paper trail serving as evidence to prove that Blake had raised her concerns about the misconduct. An article highlighted that there was a case of sexual harassment that was actually against Jamie Heath and not Justin Baldoni. On the other hand, the complaints against Justin seemed to revolve around inappropriate comments and conversations and allegations of a smear campaign. The complaint brought to light serious allegations that went beyond personal disputes and painted a picture of systemic issues on the film set. Many prominent figures came forward in support of Blake Lively amidst the controversy. This included Colleen Hoover, along with actors like America Ferrera, Amber Tamblyn, Alexis Bledel, and even Jenny Slate, who publicly called Blake a hero for taking a stand. They praised her bravery and framed her actions as an important step for women in the industry. They also addressed their so-called feminist critics, justifying their unwavering support for Blake. On the other hand, Dwayne Johnson and Chris Pratt appeared to cryptically side with Justin Baldoni. While they didn't directly address the allegations, their statements hinted at their belief that it was too soon to draw conclusions, and they emphasized the need for due process and fair judgment. The situation reached its peak when the New York Times, without any cross-verification, posted an article on December 21, 2024, titled, "We Can Bury Anyone," inside a Hollywood smear machine, against Justin, and since then, there has been an uproar. Chapter 4. The Legal Battle Begins. In response to these allegations, Baldoni filed a libel lawsuit against the New York Times on December 26, 2024, seeking $250 million in damages. He accused the newspaper of promoting a self-serving narrative and disregarding evidence that contradicted Lively's claims. Subsequently, on December 31, 2024, Lively filed a federal lawsuit against Baldoni, alleging sexual harassment and retaliation. She also named Baldoni's public relations representatives, Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel, in the lawsuit. She accused them of orchestrating a campaign to damage her reputation. In retaliation, on January 16, 2025, Baldoni filed a $400 million lawsuit against Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist Leslie Sloan, alleging civil extortion, defamation, and invasion of privacy. One incident highlighted in the lawsuit involves Blake hiring an actress for the film, but later interfering significantly in the production. Another example cited is when Justin was invited to Ryan and Blake's penthouse, where a scene of the movie was rewritten. During this meeting, Blake presented her own version of the scene to Justin, which he reportedly felt ambushed by. Since it was Blake and Ryan's private space, Justin couldn't openly voice his discomfort. Throughout this discussion, Ryan was seen praising Blake's version, but he wanted to do justice with the actual novel. Shortly afterward, Taylor Swift also joined the group and supported Blake's take, and further bolstered the narrative of the scene. Blake, who was initially hired solely as an actress, reportedly involved her friends and family to provide inputs, which was considered inappropriate. After the penthouse incident, Justin and Blake exchanged sweet and appreciative messages. In one of the texts, Blake referred to herself as Khaleesi and Ryan and Taylor as her dragons. In one message, she wrote, "If you ever get around watching Game of Thrones, you will appreciate that I am Khaleesi. And like her, I happen to have a few dragons. For better or worse, but usually for better. Because my dragons also protect those I fight for. So really, we all benefit from those gorgeous monsters of mine. You will too, I can promise you." Here, Blake hinted at Ryan and Taylor's influence, noting that both are incredibly successful in their respective fields. The implication was clear. If Justin collaborated with her, he too could reap significant benefits. However, Blake's tone and the way she discussed her influential connections were seen as inappropriate. Additionally, chats presented in the lawsuit revealed discussions about a rooftop scene. Blake admitted to rewriting the scene, but during the premiere, she claimed in media interviews that her husband, Ryan, had written it. This contradictory statement further fueled concerns about her role in the project. During the premiere, Blake's statement about Ryan writing a particular scene caused significant problems for the filmmakers. The management team sent an email to clarify whether Ryan had indeed written the scene, as they were unaware of it and felt they should have been informed. This created an impression that Blake might have been lying. The producers were reportedly fed up with Blake's interference in the project. Conversations between the production team revealed their frustration. One producer wrote to Jamie Heath and expressed that Blake's tendency to interfere had to be stopped, otherwise it would disrupt every scene and ultimately affect the shoot. In one exchange, a producer mentioned he cannot let her have opinions on everything. Here, they were referring to Justin, who Blake is coordinating with, to suggest changes. There was also a concern that Blake was effectively trying to co-direct the film. Jamie acknowledged the issue, replying, "Yes, we were talking about that a lot yesterday." And the producer responded, "Exactly. This is why everyone is starting to lose it. We've been talking about the same things for months." Jamie tried to reassure the team by saying, "It's starting to get resolved." But the producer retorted, "No, it is not." These interactions made it evident that Jamie and Justin were key points of contact for Blake and were tasked with handling her, which created significant challenges. The lawsuit also alleges that if Justin resisted Blake's suggested changes or disagreed with her opinions, she would give him the cold shoulder or apply pressure in other ways. This behavior reportedly irritated many individuals on set and led to clashes. Additionally, Blake addressed a claim in the lawsuit where she mentioned that Justin came to her trailer, cried for hours, and discussed how the internet was criticizing her for appearing too old for her role. Blake clarified that she had personally decided how to style her character Lily, and that the creative choices were hers alone. These incidents, combined with Blake's behavior, appeared to have created a tense working environment, with several team members expressing their dissatisfaction in the lawsuit. When the shooting began, a behind-the-scenes photo was leaked online. The audience's initial reaction to the photo was overwhelmingly negative. Those familiar with the book pointed out that Lily's personality and background didn't align with the outfit shown in the picture. The dress was widely criticized for being inappropriate for the character, and many felt it misrepresented Lily's essence. Justin, aware of the backlash, approached Blake to discuss the issue. He wanted to explain that the outfit hadn't received a positive response and didn't fit the character's narrative. However, the situation was exaggerated in reports, implying it was a dramatic confrontation. According to Justin, it was a brief and straightforward discussion. Moreover, it was noted that Blake hadn't read the book, which made it necessary for others to repeatedly remind her that Lily's character wasn't from a wealthy background. Despite this, Blake insisted on styling herself luxuriously, taking full control of her character's wardrobe. This attitude was also evident during promotions. In interviews, Blake flaunted her involvement in the film's wardrobe, claiming that the clothes seen in the movie were hers. She mentioned that the heels she wore were from her friend Gigi Hadid. This approach came across as self-indulgent and disconnected from the character's reality. Another controversy involved allegations of fat shaming against Justin. He clarified that Blake had given him her trainer's contact information when she learned about his back problems. Justin had consulted the trainer for exercise tips and mentioned needing to lift Blake for an upcoming scene. During the conversation, he asked about Blake's weight to ensure he could safely perform the lift without straining his back. However, the trainer disclosed this inquiry to Blake and Ryan, which led to misunderstandings. These incidents painted a picture of constant miscommunication and control issues on set, which further complicated the working dynamics between Blake, Justin, and the production team. After the trainer revealed Justin's question about Blake's weight, he was summoned again to the penthouse, where Ryan reportedly started shouting at him and demanding to know how he dared to ask about his wife's weight. The situation escalated, and Ryan created a scene, while Justin repeatedly apologized, feeling as though he had committed a significant mistake. However, the lawsuit revealed inconsistencies in Blake's claims. Blake alleged that there was no scene requiring Justin to lift her, but this was proven false. The scene had been written and planned to be shot. However, Blake began throwing tantrums and refused to shoot the scene, even when a body double was brought in. Eventually, the scene was removed from the film. This omission and Blake's contradictory statements painted a partial and misleading narrative from her team. Justin also disclosed that Blake once commented on his appearance, suggesting he should get a nose job. This comment, reportedly recorded, highlighted Blake's own inappropriate behavior, which countered the claims she made in the lawsuit. The lawsuit included numerous chats between Justin and Blake to show the context of their relationship. These messages demonstrated that Blake was comfortable and appreciative of Justin. The two often exchanged jokes, lengthy texts, and had informal interactions. For instance, one message from Blake, sent from her trailer, said, "I'm just pumping in the trailer, if you want to work out lines." To which Justin replied, "Copy, eating with crew and we'll head that way," which contradicted Blake's claim that they came to her trailer without prior notice. Justin's legal team presented evidence to show how close and comfortable their dynamic had been. It was revealed that Blake even breastfed in front of Justin during meetings, took photos of him holding and soothing a crying baby in her penthouse, and shared laughs during late-night writing sessions. All these interactions reportedly occurred after the alleged incidents of harassment that is suggesting a much different relationship dynamic than what Blake's lawsuit implied. Blake Lively's accusations seemed to come out of nowhere, especially considering how personal and comfortable her interactions with Justin Baldoni had been. They had exchanged numerous conversations, and there was no indication of any issue until the sudden filing of the sexual harassment case. Even after the film's shooting was completed, and during the final stages of editing when it was deciding which scenes would be included and in what sequence, Blake reportedly overstepped her role. She insisted on preparing her own cut of the film, which is not typically the actress's responsibility. The producers were against this, but Blake went to Sony, the film's distributor, and managed to get her way. She also replaced the editors initially selected for the project, hiring those who usually worked on Ryan's films. Gradually, Blake allegedly sidelined Justin, the film's director, from the project entirely. In a message dated before the film's release in August 2024, Justin wrote to his editor, "She has kicked me out officially from the film now. She is finishing it all. I cannot be involved. Music, sound, VFX, everything. I will make it through somehow. Just need to feel it all." Another conversation revealed that Justin was hospitalized with a spinal infection during this time. A team member messaged him saying, "Take care of yourself. If Blake is so determined to handle the marketing of the movie, then just let her." This indicated that even while Justin was recovering, Blake had already taken over the film's marketing and was making key decisions. This raises questions about Blake's claims in her lawsuit, where she stated that she was simply following the marketing plan given to her by the producers. She alleged that she had been instructed not to answer too many marketing-related questions, and implied the plan was created by Justin and the producers. However, evidence suggests otherwise. Justin was not involved in the marketing decisions, and it appears that Blake had significant control over the campaign. For instance, the marketing idea to encourage audiences to wear your florals and watch the movie was something Blake agreed to. But after it backfired, she shifted the blame, portraying herself as someone merely following orders. Moreover, marketing strategies seemed to blur the film's message. A movie dealing with serious themes like abuse was marketed alongside Blake's personal ventures, such as her hair care and clicker brands. This added to the controversy, as no producer would likely plan such a mismatched campaign. The inconsistencies in Blake's statements and the revelations from Justin's chats leave room for speculation. Chapter 5: The Contradictions in Blake's Lawsuit. The lawsuit has highlighted many behind-the-scenes conflicts, suggesting that much of what transpired was different from how it has been presented publicly. The first point was about a smear campaign. It was alleged that Justin and his team were engaged in negative PR against Blake Lively. Certain chats were presented as evidence by Blake. On the surface, these chats seemed to suggest that Justin's team was taking credit for undermining her. The tone appeared serious. However, when the actual chats were reviewed, it became clear that the New York Times had presented morphed chats. By omitting them, the chats were misrepresented as serious conversations. Justin's team released additional chat excerpts to clarify the situation. They pointed out that the original messages in the article were edited. Certain lines were removed and had altered the context of the conversation. During the interview, Justin's lawyer explained that the negative PR campaign was allegedly initiated by Blake Lively's team, which started planting articles against Justin Baldoni. For instance, one article accused Justin of fat-shaming Blake by asking about her weight. However, the context was that Justin had asked her trainer about her weight because he had a back issue and needed to lift her for a scene. Another article was planted about a prolonged kissing scene, alleging that it went on unnecessarily long. The lawyer argued that even if Justin had taken steps to protect himself hypothetically, it wasn't wrong. The discussion also touched on serious allegations against producer Jamie Heath. One claim was that during his wife's delivery, while she was unclothed, Jamie showed the moment to Blake. Blake reportedly felt that Jamie was showing her explicit content. The lawyer clarified that Jamie was trying to explain how a delivery scene should be filmed. Jamie had shared a video of his wife giving birth as an educational example, not as explicit content. These videos are publicly available for educational purposes. Another major allegation was that Justin and Jamie would enter Blake's trailer unannounced while she was breastfeeding. In response, a chat was released between Blake and Justin, showing that Blake had notified Justin she was breastfeeding and allowed him to come in for a discussion. This evidence aimed to prove that no uninvited or forceful entry occurred. Initially, Blake herself had invited Justin while she was pumping. In Blake's lawsuit, it was also mentioned that Justin had used the word sexy inappropriately. In response, chats between Blake and Justin were presented, and it clearly showed that Blake herself had used the word sexy in their conversations, and not Justin. Another significant point was a complaint filed by Blake in January 2024 with HR during the film's production. Blake provided a detailed list of conditions about what should and shouldn't happen on set. Justin's team stated that these complaints were discussed during a meeting in January 2024. The intimacy coordinator and all parties involved agreed on the terms set by Blake. However, Blake reportedly delayed meeting with the intimacy coordinator. The question arose: if Blake later claimed that working conditions were so bad, why did she return to the film set after the meeting? According to Justin's team, after the meeting, Blake's concerns were addressed and her terms were accepted, and the matter was resolved before the shoot resumed. They also stated that they didn't argue much at the time and accepted her conditions, which allowed filming to continue. Justin's team clarified that the discussion is based on interviews, articles, and the points they have raised so far. Final conclusions can only be drawn after more substantial evidence is presented in court. There were also questions raised about Blake's husband, Ryan Reynolds. Some articles revealed that Ryan knew about what was happening on set. Despite this, once his movie Deadpool and Wolverine was completed, a specific scene featuring Ryan was included. This scene, written in a humorous tone, was perceived as an indirect jab at Justin Baldoni. Viewers speculated that Ryan was mocking Justin for what had allegedly happened with Blake. Additionally, emails from the production were released, which showed Jamie Heath discussing how Blake was pushing for producer credit and even pressuring the team for it. In one of the emails, she mentioned her persistence in seeking recognition. During a shoot, a scene showed Justin holding Blake by the waist while kissing her. But one clip went viral on the internet in which Blake herself was telling Justin to hold her back in a particular way. This clip gained attention because Blake had previously stated in her complaints that no intimate or kissing scenes should be improvised, but she was the one who did it. It was also revealed that Blake took a keen interest in the post-production process. She insisted on approving the final cuts and ensured that any changes went through her. Professionals had already been hired for these responsibilities, but Blake's involvement was seen as interference. Justin's lawyer hinted that Blake was unnecessarily creating issues during the filming process, and evidence related to these claims is available, and he will surely prove it. During the film's promotions, certain statements made by Blake led to her being trolled. To restore her image, she allegedly collaborated with the New York Times to release the article, aiming to portray Justin in a negative light. However, Blake reportedly had no intention of pursuing the case further, as her primary goal was to clear her image in front of the audience and frame Justin for everything. Justin's lawyer, however, emphasized that they would not back down and were determined to fight this case in court. He stated that the chats between Blake and Justin, without any fabrication, would be made available to the audience to give them a clear picture of what actually happened during the film's shooting. Another point raised was that Justin had accepted Blake's demands, even during the film's premiere, to maintain peace. The lawyer noted that allegations of sexual harassment are serious and should not be taken lightly. However, based on the information available so far, it appeared that the New York Times might face legal consequences. The publication claimed they thoroughly checked the evidence before printing the article. Justin's lawyer questioned this claim, and he argued that if the evidence had truly been reviewed, it would have been clear that the chats were fabricated and taken out of context. He pointed out that the New York Times failed to examine the full conversations, which included lines before and after the quoted messages, and this has changed their meaning entirely. Blake's lawsuit also attempted to highlight an allegation about an underage girl being depicted inappropriately in the film. Justin's response clarified that the actor in question was, in real life, an adult playing the role of a young girl in the movie. The scenes shown in the film were contextual to the storyline, and the actor was not underage in reality. Justin Baldoni's lawyer strongly defended these points, stating that the fabricated narratives and misrepresentation of evidence were intended to malign Justin's reputation. He reiterated that their side had substantial proof to counter all allegations and bring the truth to light. Chapter 6: The Raw Footage and Comeback. And after this, on January 22, 2025, Justin's lawyer publicly showed footage that completely denies one of Blake's claims. First, read Blake's claim that she had filed in her lawsuit. On another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Miss Lovely were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Miss Lively out of character as himself. At one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear down her neck as he said, "It smells so good." None of this was remotely in character, or based on any dialogue in the script, and nothing needed to be said because, again, there was no sound. Mr. Baldoni was caressing Miss Lively with his mouth in a way that had nothing to do with their roles. When Miss Lively later objected to this behavior, Mr. Baldoni's response was, "I'm not even attracted to you." After that, here's the cause that was mentioned by Justin's lawyer. Lively's later complaint sheds light on what this point was alluding to in this demand, which at the time was baffling, and upon review of the filmed evidence is unequivocally based on a lie. Production was filming a romance montage of Lily and Ryle on their date. One of the producers played music to set the mood so the characters could slow dance. Lively, consistently unable to take direction, insisted she really liked the idea of the characters constantly talking, because, as she described, she and her husband liked to keep talking and talking and talking. Baldoni, her director, and the film's assistant director, who was directing the scene, disagreed. In an attempt to encourage her to take his direction, Baldoni offered up that he and his wife often just look into each other's eyes silently, to which she responded like sociopaths, and laughed. Baldoni laughed and shook it off, while Lively once again started talking about how she and her husband can't not talk. Baldoni said, "I think that's cute," and complimented the couple, to which Lively responded, "I think it's more than cute." And the video that you all must have watched by now doesn't seem to favor Blake at all. If you look at Blake's complaint, it's mentioned twice that no sound was recorded, meaning Blake's mic was off during that scene. But coincidentally, or maybe we can say Justin was being cautious, Justin's mic was on. And all of this got captured. Blake accused Justin of making comments about her weight. Meanwhile, Blake just casually told Justin to get a nose surgery, laughed, and said, "I'm just kidding." Isn't that inappropriate? Well, if you look at the scene carefully, you'll notice how Blake was adjusting her hair so that Justin could kiss her neck. It was all part of acting. I feel like Justin switches between being himself and his character. When he says cut, he's completely Justin. But during filming, he seems to stay in character as Ryle. He treats Blake as Lily, assuming she's also staying in character. Since there's no script, they just talk randomly, saying things that blur the lines between acting and real interactions. Their characters don't know each other well yet, and this is the scene where they almost kiss but don't. Blake's nervousness fits the moment for the scene, but it's hard to tell when she's being Blake and when she's being Lily. One clue that she wasn't uncomfortable is when she laughed at Justin's comment about him and his wife staring at each other for 5 minutes. She called him a sociopath and kept touching his chest while laughing. Like when someone laughs so hard, they naturally touch a friend or partner on the arm. She was comfortable after all. Even in the footage, you can see Justin following her lead, even though he didn't originally see the scene playing out that way. The scene wasn't meant to have any dialogue, and their characters weren't supposed to talk. But Blake kept breaking the silence, insisting that they should talk multiple times. It's possible that the slow dance wasn't originally scripted that way and Justin added his own touches. However, Blake seems to be twisting things when she claims Justin wasn't in character and was talking despite there being no dialogue. This is why reading the book would have helped Blake. In the book, Lily had a tattoo on her collarbone that Ryle is obsessed with. He constantly kisses and touches it. When he asks what it means, she lies and doesn't tell him it's about her ex. Later, when Ryle learns the truth, he tries to bite it off. This happens during the last abusive scene before Lily leaves him. The slow dance at the start of their relationship is meant to set the tone for the abuse that happens later. That's why Justin and his character Ryle focuses on her collarbone and it fits his character's behavior. He wasn't out of character. His actions aligned with Ryle's obsessive nature. Plus, at this point, they are supposed to look like they're in love. If Blake had read the book, she might have understood these details better. She'd see how the rough kissing made sense, given Ryle's sexual violent tendencies towards Lily. Reading the book could have helped her grasp her character's motivations and the complex dynamic with Ryle. And this is another proof that she basically just wants attention at any cost, even if it means looking down at her own husband. So Blake was interviewed on the red carpet. When the reporter asked about the rooftop scene, she happily told the reporter, "The rooftop scene? My husband Ryan actually wrote it," and added, "Nobody knew this, but now you do." Here's the issue. Blake made a big deal earlier about wanting credit for rewriting that scene. She talked about how important it was to her, how her dragons stood by her because they knew her writing wasn't valued before. But later, she turned around and said Ryan wrote it. Well, this feels manipulative. The only reason for her giving Ryan the credit is that the scene got a lot of backlash on TikTok and Twitter. Suddenly, the credit she fought so hard for didn't seem so important anymore, so she passed it on to her husband. Maybe she had another reason, but it comes off as odd. Obviously, after this, the public support shifted entirely towards Justin. At least now, people are no longer blindly following Blake. In fact, people are calling Blake a narcissist and coming up with theories like Blake went crazy in love with Justin during the movie shoot. When Justin didn't reciprocate her feelings, Blake got angry and filed a civil case against Justin out of revenge. Some think this might have been Blake's tactic, and she assumes that her powerful position would let her suppress Justin. But Justin Baldoni quietly endured everything as long as it was simple. However, when such terrible accusations were made against him, especially when he is the father of a young daughter, he didn't back down and made a strong comeback. I don't think Blake expected Justin to drag her to a real courtroom, which might explain why, on January 24, 2025, Blake filed a gag order request against Hollywood attorney Brian Friedman. Blake is now asking the judge to stop Justin Baldoni from releasing evidence publicly. Normally, this would make sense in a legal case, but isn't it ironic? Blake herself started this by filing a confidential complaint in California, which was leaked to the New York Times. They published it, removed the paywall, made it to the public to download the copy of the lawsuit, and even included all the text messages her team gave them. Now, Justin Baldoni and his team are just playing her game and playing it even better. The funny part? She wanted everything to be aired publicly. But now that Baldoni is sharing his own evidence, she's suddenly against it. One more interesting thing to note is that Friedman had filed a case against Justin 3 years ago when his client claimed that the movie 5 Meters Apart, which was Justin's debut directorial film, portrayed their character without permission. At that time, it was Friedman himself who settled the matter for Justin. Later, when Friedman came forward to represent Justin, he stated, "In the copyright infringement case, I learned Justin did absolutely nothing wrong. This only further confirmed to me that Justin is exceedingly honorable and highly ethical. Meanwhile, Colleen Hoover deactivated her Instagram account amidst all this drama. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you liked our video. We'll be back with more updates on this case. And for more deep dive cases, subscribe to our channel. Until then, take care and thanks for watching to the end.